and this is kind of the framework we talked about before too, where it's like if there's a higher ROAS on any channel whatsoever and it's higher than branded Google, something is wrong. Something very, very, very serious is wrong. And we don't even have to think about like attribution. Like let's just think logically. Like, what are the odds that someone's going to convert when they type in the brand name? Pretty high. What are the odds when someone sees your ad pop up if they're going to convert? Not as high. So how is that better? I don't know. It's just the mentality of like looking at things, and if it's a higher ROAS, I get a little scared. And I think that you're the one that pretty much started saying that, and it makes so much sense to where.
And you want to know the tool that I used to identify this whole thing? Really, like this is how simple it was. Hop into the back of your admin panel inside of
CRM,
Shopify.
Shopify, yeah.
Oh
Anything
my
you got?
God. Like it's the simplest thing in the world. So if I just look at, let's just say last click, okay? Or let's just do last non-direct because that's what it defaults to. Watch this. So last non-direct, which means the last thing that they clicked on before they just went back to the site on their own accord and bought. 353 new customers. Damn. 4% conversion rate. Damn. Like it's only better than PostScript and Klaviyo. It's better than Google. It's better than Facebook. It's better than even Facebook organic. Even Google search organic is like, it's just as good as your organic search in Google, which is mostly brand, which I had a hard time believing that. So, it's better than Instagram. It's better than everything. Now watch 353. Okay. Watch first click 68.
Yeah.
353 down to 68 between last click and first click. That was what I used to find this whole thing. That was my I guess my clue, my spark, my catalyst.
Yeah.
And I was like, each time you add into AppLovin, it looks like this is really warm traffic. People love AppLovin. There's millions of dollars, billions of dollars now being spent inside of AppLovin. I've never seen it actually produce anything from a top line perspective at all. And so many companies that look at just ROAS that are too big to care, just throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at it, look at the ROAS and say, well, this is good, must work well. But when you look at, are they actually net new that are coming from that channel? Like 68. And that's 68 during this whole last 30 days. I mean, if we look at 68 over the last 30 days, damn. Okay. So 68 over the last 30 days. Let's do this. You know what? That would be fun. If we look at the last 30 days here and just don't even use a comparison, the amount of money that has been spent inside of Axon, aka AppLovin, aka scam, is it's actually fairly clear. So when you're talking about like how to do MMM, how to scale, how to build companies, how to grow, how to really take $100,000, throw it into something with the utmost confidence and say, I am going to die on this hill and I will fire this client if he doesn't do it this way. It starts with, what we're all talking about here today. And that's what I love about this is as soon as this gets.
It's tough too, though, for people that don't have the type of, client base too, though. So trying to balance that is always going to be a tough thing. But when you get to this point, then your retention becomes a lot better and it just snowballs.
Well, I would say it took this as an effect. I would say, this is Friday. I said, well, I'd love to keep working together. I feel it might be best for me to bow out. I do feel like my recommendations are combated or ignored. And when I mention what will happen if we make the changes I advise against happen, it becomes more of an urgent issue. It's frustrating for me to be correct with each one of my recommendations, but still not have control over what I'm supposed to be responsible for, but be responsible to fix when my recommendations are ignored. And he's like, let's discuss today. He's like, don't leave me. And he's like, we nearly cut 80% of what we're spending on AppLovin now. So it's primarily met in Google. That's true. They were starting to cut, but they were starting to increase because a media buyer on there said, I'm more risk adverse. And I'm like, dude, you tanked the company 30% and you have a profitability, you have a contribution margin. Now, slowly, you're going to reintroduce that ad spend into Meta. So it means that how long are you going to reinvest that capital as now you bring your net contribution margin down from 10 grand to zero because you now have to reinvest that into Meta because we slid down the money hill 30% year over year. Now we got to climb back up. That's way more expensive than just sort of simple reallocation. So like, like that kind of moment clicked on the call today. But I mean, everybody, I don't know how many people will do this where it's like, hey, he goes, It's not working the way it should be. I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant by it will be more efficient, help contribution margin, but won't spend. I mentioned this before making the change and asked not to do this. So that's what's funny is like, I'm very bullish. I'll be like, fine, we'll do it. But I asked not to do it. I'm like, please don't. And he's like, hey, it didn't work. I'm like, I know. And now I quit. It's best for me to bow out. So yeah, like, I mean,
Now
it's
I know
nice.
I quit.
Yeah. I'm just like, and like, I told you not to do it and you did it anyway. And now it's urgent for me to fix. And so go deal with it yourself. It's basically that's the conversation that we've had. And I know this to be true because we have the data. I'm confident in that. That first click getting 68 while they're spending 181,000. Jesus, 68 out of 181,000.
Yeah, at a better ROAS than Google, something's a little sus.
The NCAC's 2,661. He can't go over 40.
Yikes. That's insane.
So what's funny is what we're actually seeing is the effect of taking out 30% of the prospecting and putting 40% because there was a larger delta increase than it was a decrease of incremental. It was a let's pull out of prospecting and let's double down on remarketing. The ROAS of remarketing looks fantastic. So let's throw more money at it.
For someone, this is kind of the framework we talked about before too, where it's like if there's a higher ROAS on any channel whatsoever and it's higher than branded Google, something is wrong. Something very, very, very serious is wrong. And we don't even have to think about like attribution. Like, let's just think logically. Like, what are the odds that someone's going to convert when they type in the brand name? Pretty high. What are the odds when someone sees your ad pop up if they're going to convert? Not as high. So how is that better? I don't know. It's just the mentality of like looking at things, and if it's a higher ROAS, I get a little scared. And I think that you're the one that pretty much started saying that, and that makes so much sense to where.
Well, what's funny is I think I really like this type of case study because you can actually see a few things. When we look at the previous period, check this out. There is an economies of scale when you remove the spend. So when you're looking at a spend reduction of 54%, and we can use first click, we use triple attribution, we linear, whatever it is, doesn't matter. When something has been tagged as a source, they're tagged as a source forever. If they started on a different source, it's permanently changed. If they ever purchase in the future off an unknown source, it is continuously given to the original channel. So with Axon here, having a 21% increase in ROAS to 284, he's finally at the level that he wants to be at, 3.6. Okay, 3.6 gives him profitability. He's correct. Now, the reallocation of spend of $24,000 out and only $8,000 in is not enough to make up that difference in terms of the volume. There was a benefit of AppLovin. AppLovin would have actually probably done this client very good if they didn't change anything else except for just add 20% incremental into AppLovin for some additional remarketing because it is a longer sales cycle. It's orthotic shoes, so they do take a few weeks. So the AppLovin was way overspent and was way overspent based on the reduction of or a comparison of the reduction of our prospecting channels. So if we say, hey, we're going to prospect less hard, okay, and we're going to double down on remarketing, your 1x ROAS has less spend. Your 3x ROAS has more spend and even better ROAS because these things are just display ads on like Weather Channel.
Yeah.
It's not really bringing a whole bunch of net new users.
Yeah,
68 first click to be exact.
Sense.
Exactly right. So that's the same thing that we're looking at from like a DPA ad, which is something that's actually happening. If you're here watching and if you can chat, the topic that I want to change to is the DPA ad in Andromeda. That is something that has a very, very similar effect. And it's actually a closed loop of death. I guess. I don't know. We're just going to call it. Kinda. Yeah. The death spiral. Hey, if you like this video, we have a school community where we have a few hundred members and we cover topics, everything from the basics to all the way to the like hyper crazy advanced stuff that's like coming out next month. So a few hundred members there. We go live twice a week, something with an hour-long education about something that is very relevant to the community that week, plus a weekly Q&A where you just get to come and bring us all of your problems and we solve them one at a time.
So I have a link below in the description if you want to join. And then obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can answer those for you. And we'll see you in there.